Alright, y'all. Welcome to another video, another Vlogmas video, because it's December themed situation. We're tripping with the Smiths.
Get to the point, woman.
Today we're popping in to do our daily vlog, and I had to write it down because it's a little bit. Our top 10 RV mistakes to avoid when RVing. And we're going to get some tips to go with those mistakes. So we got the mistakes, but we're going to tell you what to do instead. Right, baby?
Sure.
So without further ado, I'll let Jeff kick off the list. It's been a process getting set up. But here we are. That's why he's laughing.
Yes, it has been a process. It's one thing after another.
The camera was dead. Had to charge it a little bit. Had to set up the ring light. I had to write down the title, so I wouldn't forget it. What?
Nothing. It's just one thing after another.
Go.
Alright, so we will kind of go through some of the things that we have seen and some of the things that we've experienced, and hopefully you won't experience them. So the first one that we have here that we recently started having to do, seeing how we're now using a traditional fifth wheel hitch, is that if you're using a traditional fifth wheel hitch, do a pull test before you raise your leveling jacks so that you don't drop your fifth wheel on your truck.
Yep.
So sometimes the fifth wheel hitches, depending on which one it is, will look like they're closed, and they will appear to be closed with the jaws firmly fastened around the pin of the fifth wheel hitch, and they aren't. And there's been numerous people out there with their YouTube videos that have retracted all their leveling jacks, the front legs, put it in drive, and started to drive off, and the fifth wheel drops onto the bed of the truck and crushes the bed because the jaws of the fifth wheel hitch weren't fully engaged. We almost had this happen to us once, but that little nagging voice in the back of your head says, go back. I know it's a pain in the ass to put the legs back down. Go back and do it so that you don't drop it. And what do you know? Our hitch looked like it was hitched. The indicator that shows you that it's hitched fully was in. Everything appeared to be right, but when I put it in drive, I drove right off from underneath the fifth wheel. So it was a good thing that we went back and did the hitch. So don't drop your fifth wheel on your truck. It ruins your day.
And I'm going to ask something before you move on to number 2.
What?
We haven't ran into that. We have some close calls, definitely. And I'll be like, Jeff, did you check this? Boom, boom, boom. And he hadn't. But I will say that we did, and I don't think we shared this, and hopefully he'll give me the crazy eyes. Well, we did jack up a bed, the door. What is that called?
Tailgate.
Tailgate.
Yeah, we had a tailgate incident.
That's because, being first-time RVers, we had an argument.
No.
Going while hooking up, and, you get flustered and frustrated, and
and what?
And you forgot to put the tailgate down.
Yeah.
When what part of that is?
Get to the point.
When you was backing in or trying to pull out to check it. You was checking it.
No, I wasn't checking it. I was pulling out to reorient myself because Candace couldn't tell right from left as she kept trying to give directions, and we kept being 6 inches off the hitch. So I was frustrated.
Jasper, no.
And I was walking between the fifth wheel and the truck, and the tailgate was in the way, and I slammed it shut and forgot to put it back down. So when I pulled out to reorient, it crushed the tailgate. It was a good day. So I don't think we talked to each other for like 5 hours.
Yeah, it's goes with the pull thing. Because you have to make sure, everything is secure or open, tailgate down or up, or cords attached in situation, that kind of stuff. So
yeah. So the second thing is navigation. Navigation will get you in trouble, and it's happened to us, and it still happens to us from time to time because there's no navigation product out there that is foolproof. No. But if the dogs are sitting here looking at each other through the window, if you use something like Google Maps or a regular consumer grade GPS product, it will lead you under bridges, through tunnels, through neighborhoods, through turns that you can't make. It'll take you all kinds of places that you shouldn't be. And you'll end up, hopefully, if you catch it before you run out of time, you'll be able to pull into a parking lot and turn around, which we've done a couple times, even with our commercial products, because like I said, they sometimes fail. So navigation can sometimes be a pain in the butt. We use 2 GPS navigation applications. We use 𝐁𝐎𝐿, which is a trucker's navigation app. We use Google Maps just to kind of be a backup for us. And then we always carry an atlas that we have used once or twice, just in case. And then finally, pay attention. You need to know how high your rig is, and you need to know how big your rig is and how heavy it is. And pay attention to all the road signs and warning signs, because generally low overpasses are marked, low weight bridges are marked, and the things that have tight navigation spaces are going to be marked as well. So pay attention to that. And don't be afraid to stop, back up the truck if need be, or stop and crawl underneath something. We ended up in one place because there was detours from road construction that we had to go under a low overpass, and it was so low there's probably an inch of clearance. And fortunately there was a walking bridge next to it, so we stopped. Candace walked the bridge, and I crept through at about 2 miles an hour with the traffic stacking up behind us. It just happens sometimes. It's just the way it goes. But don't let your navigation app screw you. And if you're using Google Maps, it is going to screw you repeatedly.
Yeah.
What you got about that?
What did you mention? You said 𝐁𝐿. Another one is CoPilot.
Yep, there's CoPilot. There's a bunch of different RV specific navigation applications. So just find one of those, use it, and learn its little quirks and the way that it functions.
Set your navigation before you leave. Jeff has a bad habit of too many times to my liking. What?
Just put it back there.
Okay.
They can go fight over. They've got rawhide bones, and they want to.
Jasper ain't finished his,
Go
and
after
now
it.
look.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So set up your navigation. Jeff likes to use 2, Google and 𝐁𝐿, to kind of just have comparison, and if one is not quite right and leads you the wrong way, or just in comparison to see your routes on 2 different ones. Don't wait till you get on the road and then not have 𝐁𝐿 going. Definitely always have 𝐁𝐿 going, or whatever specific RV specific GPS you have that going before you get going, because we've been in too many times where we're like, uh-oh, this don't look good. But if Jeff would have had the RV specific GPS up, we wouldn't have been in the predicament that was in.
Notice it's always my fault. It must be nice to sit in the passenger seat and do your own thing.
God.
Do your own thing always.
Whatever. Anyway, so let's get moving, because if we don't, this video will be 20 minutes. I know y'all love hearing us talk, but we're going to try to keep this.
So let's go.
Pretty, on point. Okay.
So the next thing we've got is to...
Let me do the next one.
Fine.
Thank you.
Where's
Walk
your list?
right there, y'all. Okay. I got a little one over there. Walk your site. We've made the mistake a couple times of not doing that, but once you get consistent with it, you always do it. Just part of your get to the park set up routine situation, which could be another video. But just
You've done a video like that.
Oh yeah, did we? Oh. Okay.
A setup video.
A setup video. Walk to your site, pull in, check in, get your number, and then go get out the truck. Whether it's day, night, whatever. Get the bike if you got that. You're on a walk. Go see where your site is, how you need to get into it, where you need the position to get in right. That's pretty much it. What'd you say? Look for obstacles. Look to see how the tree situation is. The poles, sometimes campgrounds don't act like they have 30-something, 40-something rigs coming in there. They got the poles situated wrong. You might have to move the marker for the site, the number marker or whatever. Make sure you put it back. But just check how you're going to get to your site. How you're going to get into it.
Yeah, and the last thing that she didn't mention is sometimes people park all kinds of crazy, especially on a busy weekend.
Yeah.
So make sure that you're not going to hit anything, and I'll point out again, look for tree limbs over the road, because that's an easy one to miss.
Yeah. And,
so walk.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You gonna wrap it up?
Walk to your site, observe everything that you can potentially hit. If it's at nighttime, take a spotlight with you or a headlamp so you can look around and see things, and to be prepared for any obstacles that you see.
Yes, don't be afraid to ask someone to move the car, and if they see you, most of the time they'll ask you or check with you. So so you can have a clear path to your site.
Yep.
Okay.
Once you get there and you do the 20-minute yelling at each other, backing into a site that you sometimes see people do. Once you get your RV into the site, make sure that your utilities are all going to reach. So take your power cord out, plug it in, and check that the power works. If you have an EMS or surge protector, make sure that it works. And then hook up your water, make sure your sewer is going to reach, because there's nothing worse than getting it all set and leveled and unhooked and the truck off to the side, especially after a long day of towing, and one of those things doesn't reach, right? The power cord doesn't reach the power pedestal. We've had that happen. Sewer doesn't reach the sewer. We've had that one happen. And water doesn't reach the water spigot. We've also had that one happen. So on that note, we carry a 15-foot extension cord for our power. We carry, I think we're up to like 75 feet of water hose now because we've gotten some extras. And then we carry 30 to 45 feet of sewer hose. And we've sometimes had to stretch out the sewer hose and use the entire length of it because the site was set up horribly. So check that stuff before you unhook, because it's much easier to move sites than it is to deal with rehooking back up, moving your trailer, etc., etc., or just readjusting your trailer in your site. What are you writing?
Are you done with that?
Yeah.
All right. I gotta back up, and I don't see it on here. If it is, stop me. Make sure for number 3, walk in the site, make sure it's your site. Is that on the list? So we back it up to 3 real quick.
We've set up in the wrong site before.
All the way on hold.
All the way set up.
Unlocked. Unhooked. Set up. At nighttime,
dog
too.
fence out, everything, and then realize we're in the wrong site.
So, that didn't go, and I make that note, because I'm going to put these in the description. Okay. Well, actually you is, because I'm editing it tonight. But, make sure you got the right site.
You're rambling now. It's going to be a 30-minute video.
Okay, it's going to be 20. That's the cut. 20. All right, moving on. So, you can wrap up number 4.
So, make sure that everything's going to reach before you unhook. And make sure your power works before you unhook. When you're on the road, make sure you either fuel up before you hit the road, or make sure that you leave adequate amount of fuel in your tank so that you're not sucking dry before you try to get gas, because that's the times that you'll see that the rest areas, or not the rest areas, but the exits with gas stations that you can fit into are probably going to be like 50 miles apart, so that you're down to your last gallon of gas before you find a service station. So just plan your fuel stops appropriately. Try to get fuel sometime between half a tank and a quarter tank, because if you let it go below that, then sometimes you have some stressful moments. What?
Oh, that was part of 4. This is 5. Okay. All right. Fuel. Big caps, don't wait. Fill up before we go, because he ain't giving it all. Just a quick is that we have been in some sticky situations, y'all, and you do not want to be up in a small, regular gas station. It's a pain in the you-know-what, right?
Have we ever ran out of gas?
But he'd be so close. He the kind of person that like to go to the gram of gas. So, and then along with the GPS thing, you can, I think in there they have gas stations that you can fit in, right? So, use the truck stops, be courteous at the truck stops. A lot of places do now say RVs too. So fill up where the trucks fill up, unless they have specific RV spots, right? And that would have went with the fuel, which is what we're on, right? Yeah. Okay.
It is.
Number 6. I'll start off number 6. Do you have anything else on another one? Okay. No. Check site after hooking up. And I don't know where you're going. You probably should have took that one. Oh.
She's trying to use my notes, which is my shorthand. So after you hook up and you pull your trailer out of your site, it's a good idea to go back and walk the site that you just left, because you will avoid leaving expensive stuff behind, which you've done several times. I don't know how many water pressure regulators we've left for the next camper, but we've done that several times, and that's not the cheap little Camco $5 ones.
Show me a fancy one.
I'm going to. That's the whole
sorry,
point
I'm jumping to a point. Jumping.
It's not the little cheap $5 ones, but the actual ones that are adjustable with the big gauge and everything. We've left those behind, and we've also left behind stuff like this, which is a nice big brass Y that allows me to have 2 hoses on it, and I set it up with quick disconnects on my hoses, which aren't going to work here, so that I don't have to sit there and fumble with the hoses when I'm hooking up. I've left this
Twice.
one of these, no, just once. One of these behind.
Get that up on the camera later, folks. Y'all see that? Fancy, right? It's heavy duty.
It is heavy duty. It's nice. It doesn't leak. It's a good product, and it doesn't really affect our water throughput. And I like having the quick disconnects because I don't like sitting there trying to screw things on and wondering why it's leaking.
Yep.
So we've left a couple other little things behind, but that's the biggest thing we left behind is the water fittings.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, this is leaving your old site, because I thought it was kind of going, like flow, but this is not your new site. This is your old site,
This
right?
is when you leave your
You're
site.
leaving your site. Was we left, what was that? In Michigan, you had to go back a toolbox, a little.
No, yeah. I left a box
Yeah.
of parts and stuff that I'd used. I used it when I was trying to strap something up, and I used it for a stand, and then I drove off and left it there.
And I walked the site, but I didn't see. I don't know why I didn't see that.
I don't know.
But it was something I would have expected probably to be out, because it was total accident. So.
Yeah. The next thing we have here is your propane tank. So most RVs come with 2 propane tanks, and a lot of them have auto changeover valves or regulators. So if you open up both propane tanks, when one's empty, it will switch over to the other propane tank, and you'll keep running. The bad thing I find about the auto changeover is that when you run out of propane, you're really out of propane. You have none left. Both your tanks are empty, and that's usually going to happen at about 9 o'clock at night when you're in the middle of a shower. And there's nothing.
Oh, washing your hair?
Oh, yeah, washing your
hair. His hair.
And there's nothing worse than that, and there's nothing open to get new propane. So what I do with our propane is I open one tank at a time because we have an auto changeover regulator. So I just open one tank at a time and leave the other one closed. And when it runs out, I can go out there and switch it, and then I take that empty one and go fill it up so that I never have 2 empty propane tanks, because it's like when the power goes out or when the AC goes out or any of that stuff goes out. It never goes out when it's convenient.
Right.
It always goes out at the worst possible time when there's nothing open to rectify the issue. So for propane, for us, we keep one tank closed so that it can't auto change over, so that we can't run out of both propane tanks, because that's just a hassle.
Yeah.
Next thing, this is another thing that really, really got us after we got our solar installation done, and there were some learning pains in there. But take some time when you're at home or when you're not actually trying to camp to learn the ins and outs of your electrical system. If you're going to use generators, hook up the generators. If you're going to be on shore power, hook up shore power. If you've made changes to your electrical system, check out that everything works and you understand how it works. And then as you're getting acquainted with your RV, figure out where the breakers are, figure out where the fuses are, figure out where the GFCI outlets are and which outlets control those GFCI outlets. And that's always a good thing to figure out what's on each string. This is our second RV that it seems that the manufacturer wants to run every freaking outlet off the same breaker. I don't know what it is, but I guess that extra breaker and breaking up the electrical circuit into multiple circuits is too expensive for them. So they run everything off of one breaker. So if you want to use a space heater or a toaster or a coffee pot or any combination of that, it's really easy to trip your breaker. So be cautious of that. So take some time to figure out your electrical system so you know it in and out. And then probably on occasion, you want to take things apart, like your main power distribution or your transfer switch, and make sure that screws are all tightened down so that you don't have anything arcing and sparking. You don't have anything loose, drawing more current and producing less power than it should be, and all that good stuff. We had a situation, it was about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, that the plug on the end of our power Then I'm losing my train of thought. The plug on the end of our power cable, our main power cable, was not making good contact when it was plugged into the power pedestal. It was kind of loose and things were not great, and it started to heat up, and in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning, power went out. Remember I said none of this ever happens when it's convenient?
Yeah.
So the power goes out, we have no AC, we have no power. The batteries all went dead because we were running the AC off the batteries. Yeah, it was just awful. Battery up some more.
Yep.
So here we are. So the last thing we left off with was know your electrical system. Figure it out and be ready to overcome it when it fails you at the worst possible moment.
Yep.
The next thing we had is have some basic tools available. You know, a basic toolkit will go a long ways to helping you figure out and solve issues with the RV. And in that toolkit, the most indispensable thing that you can have is that little square, I think it's a number 2 square driver, that works on just about every fastener in the RV. So make sure that you got some of those square bits so you can fix things that happen on the RV. So you can tighten the screws up that came loose. You can tighten the things. Yeah, mostly it's refastening things that came loose.
Yep.
So along with that, you probably want to have some screws and fasteners with you as well. The final thing we have on our list is the black tank flush. Now,
you can have all that.
Yeah, I get to do the black tank flush stuff, which isn't a big deal. But what has not happened to us, fortunately, is that some people will, in a hurry, connect their freshwater hose to their black tank flush, turn it on, and go about their business and not check to make sure everything's correctly and fill up their black tank. And if it's sealed appropriately, it'll all come out on the roof of the RV through the vent tank. If it's not sealed appropriately, it'll come out in your RV and you'll have black tank fluid running all over your RV. Not a good look. We haven't had it happen. And one of the reasons why we haven't had it happen yet is because, going back to the quick disconnects on these that I use them on the black tank as well, but I make sure I have them set up to where the same fitting doesn't allow me to hook up to the black tank flush and the freshwater fill or the freshwater city sewer, whatever you're going to call it. So I can't really hook up incorrectly. If it's the white hose, it only connects to the freshwater tank, and if it's the other hose, it only connects to the flushes, so that we can't have that situation. But I've read many story of, hey, what do I do now? I flooded my RV with sewage, and what do I do now? Well, maybe you can dry it out, maybe you can put an insurance claim in and get a new trailer. Whatever you do, it's bad. It's just bad.
Bad news bears.
Yeah, so don't hook your freshwater hose up to your blackwater flush because you'll end up filling things up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our tips.
10 RV 10 RV mistakes to avoid.
Yes, to avoid.
With tips.
Yep. We made some of the mistakes. We haven't made some of the mistakes, but you know, give it time. Yeah. And we'll probably make all of them.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more. We'll, of course, probably do another video. We make a mistake of something, because we're always learning, always growing, and always learning something new, right?
Yeah. And the last tip that I'll leave you with is try not to be in a rush, because everything happens when you're in a rush. Oh yeah, that was on my list earlier.
Was it? When we brainstormed, I said don't be in a rush. Slow down. And I think we talked about this on another video, but don't rush. Take your time, like with the whatever number that was where we hit tailgate. Oh, what was it?
That was early on.
Yeah, early on in the list, when we was rushing, in a bad mood. Well, you can't help the mood sometimes, but you definitely, even if you are not in a good space and mood, it's a bad mood day, still take your time, hook it up, making sure you cover everything. And also that rushing can also go towards taking time to slow down if you don't have to be anywhere quickly. Enjoy the RVing while you got out here to do it.
Yep.
So
slow down, take your time, double check things. Have a checklist, and that helps a lot. There's checklists that are out there available on the internet, or you can create your own checklist and go through your checklist
every time.
That can make a huge difference in making sure that you don't ruin something. So yeah.
So
Anything else?
I think that's it. Any questions, of course, y'all ask them, drop them down in the comments. We'll have some stuff in the description for you, which we could share where we got that from, which was Amazon, right?
Yep.
Give you the link to that if you're interested. That's all we got for day 16 of Vlogmas. Like, comment, sub, hit the notification bell so you'll know when we drop our next video. And we'll see y'all again here tomorrow for day 17. Thank y'all for watching.